Hello everyone, a very welcome to Vyas Certification Kota. So today in the series of NCERT discussion, we are going to discuss NCERT questions of chapter number 7 from class 11th, that is Structural Organization in Animals. This chapter contains 14 questions in total and we are going to discuss each and every question of NCERT textbook here in this session only one by one. So let's see what is the first question is asking actually. Answer in one word or one line. So we have to answer this question in one word or one line, and basically this question number 1 contains 5 parts in it. The first part is asking give the common name of Periplaneta americana. Alright, so we have to give common name for Periplaneta americana. This is the scientific name for cockroach. This is the scientific name for cockroach, and if we talk about the common name of cockroach, so the common name of this is American cockroach. Moving on to the next part of this question, how many spermatici are found in earthworm? So basically we have 4 pairs of spermatici present in earthworm which are located between the 6th and 9th segment of it, which receives and stores spermatozoa during copulation. Moving on to the next part of this question, what is the position of ovaries in cockroach? Now, if we talk about the position of ovaries in cockroach, so the ovaries are located in cockroach between the segment 12 and 13 in it, right? And if we talk about the next part of this question, how many segments are present in the abdomen of cockroach? So basically the abdomen of cockroach in both individuals, in male cockroaches and in female cockroaches, the abdomen have total 10 segments. Moving on to the last part of this question, where do you find Malpighian tubules? Alright, so we find Malpighian tubules in cockroaches. Malpighian tubules is an excretory structure or excretory organ which forms the part of alimentary canal in cockroaches. So these are the answer. Now we'll write the answers here. The first one I am going to write the common name. The common name for Periplaneta americana is American cockroach. So this is the answer of first part of this question. Moving on to the second part of this question. How many spermatici are found in earthworm? So we are talking about spermatici. We know that we have 4 pairs of spermatici present in the earthworms. So we are going to write answer number 2. Answer number 2 of the question number 1. There are 4 pairs of spermatici in the earthworm. Which are located between 6th and 9th segment. The spermatices are actually 4 pairs, and these 4 pairs of spermatici in earthworm are present between 6th and 9th segment. Now what is the function? These spermatices actually stores and receives spermatozoa during copulation, during the process of copulation. So this is the answer of second part of this question. Now if we talk about, or if we write the answer of third part of this question, so the question is The position of ovaries we have to tell in the cockroaches, right? So, moving on to the next slide, we'll write answer number 3 over here. So, we have to tell position of ovaries. So, ovaries are present. Ovaries are present between the 12th and 13th segment. Between the 12th and 13th segment of cockroaches. Now, moving on to the next answer, that is fourth part of question number 1. How many segments are present in the abdomen of cockroaches? So, in both cases, in both individuals of cockroaches, there are 10 segments of abdomen. So there are total 10 segments present in the abdomen of both individuals of cockroaches, that is in female cockroach and in male cockroach the total abdomen segments are 10. Now moving on to the last part of this question, the fifth one, where do you find Malpighian tubules? So you will find Malpighian tubules in cockroaches, and these are excretory organs. So first we are going to write like this, Malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubules are the excretory organs present in, you will find it in cockroach, which makes the part, or it forms the part of an alimentary canal. So this Malpighian tubule is actually also takes part in the formation of alimentary canal in cockroaches, right? So this is the complete solution of question number 1, and we have already discussed all the 5 parts of question number 1. So now moving on to the next question, that is question number 2, and it also have 2 parts in it. So the first part of this question asks what is the function of nephridia, and the second part of this question is asking how many types of nephridia are actually found in the earthworm based on their location. So moving on to the function of nephridia, we have to know what is actually nephridia. Nephridia is an excretory organ. You will find it in earthworms. Nephridia is an excretory organ, right? Now, as we know that it is an excretory organ, so obviously the function of this nephridia is actually excretion. So, if we talk about the first answer or the first part of this question, then the function of nephridia is it is actually helping in the process of excretion, as it is an excretory organ you will find in earthworm. Now, if we talk about the next part of this question, that how many types of nephridia are found in earthworms based on their location. So based on the location, we have 3 types of nephridia in earthworms: septal nephridia, integumentary nephridia, and pharyngeal nephridia. So these are the 3 types of nephridia you will find in earthworms based on their location. Now if we talk about the locations of these 3 nephredias in earthworm, the first one we have is septal nephridia. So septal nephridia are present on the both side of intersegmental septa. Septal nephridia are found on the both side of intersegmental septa behind 15th segment in the earthworm. We know that earthworm is segmented. So if we talk about the 15th segment, behind the 15th segment, the septal nephredias are present and they opens into the intestine of earthworm. The second type of nephridia is integumentary nephridia. These nephredias are attached on the body wall of earthworms. These nephredias, the integumentary nephredias, are attached on the walls of earthworm from third to last segment of earthworm, and it opens onto the body surface of earthworms. The last one we have is pharyngeal nephridia. Now if we talk about the location of this nephridia, that is pharyngeal nephridia, then these are present as 3 paired tufts in 4th, 5th and 6th segment of earthworm. Where are these pharyngeal nephredias are present? In the 3rd, 4th and 5th. 3rd, 4th and 5th segments, right? So let's write this answer. Answer number 1, or the first part we are going to write. If we talk about the function of nephridia, so we know that nephridia is an excretory organ, found in earthworms, and functions as to remove waste from the body, That means it is helping in the process of excretion, as it is the excretory organ. You will find it in earthworms. Moving on to the next part of this question number 2, that is how many types of nephredias are actually found in the earthworms based on their location. So we know that based on the location we have 3 types of nephridia: the septal nephridia, integumentary nephridia and pharyngeal nephridia. Along with the names of these types of nephridia, we are going to talk about the locations of these as well. So let's talk about this second part of this question. How many types of nephridia? So basically we'll write like this: based on the location of nephridia, we have 3 types. Of it. We have 3 types, right? So the first one we have is septal nephridia. Now, if we talk about the location of this septal nephridia, they are found on both sides. These are found on both sides, of intersegmental septa. Behind the 15th segment, and opens into intestine. It opens into intestine. Which nephridia opens into intestine in earthworm? This septal nephridia is actually the nephridia which present on the both side of intersegmental septa after 15th segment in earthworm, and this is the nephridia which opens into the intestine of earthworm. Now moving on to the second type of nephridia we have is integumentary. Nephridia. Now if we talk about the location of this nephridia, so this will be attached, or we'll write like this: these are found, or these are attached these are attached, on the body wall, of earthworm from third to last segment, and opens to the body surface. Moving on to the last one, the last type of nephridia we have is pharyngeal nephridia. So if we talk about the location of this last one, pharyngeal nephridia, we know that these are present as 3 paired tufts in the segment 4th, 5th and 6th of earthworm. So pharyngeal nephredias are present as the 3 paired tufts in 4th, 5th and 6th segment in earthworm, right? Earthworm is a segmented organism, is a segmented animal. It has so many segments. So here we are talking about nephridia, and nephridia is an excretory organ found in the earthworms, which are present in the different locations, in the body of earthworm. And we have basically three types of nephridia based on the location of them. That is septal nephridia. The first one we have is septal nephridia. The second one we have is integumentary nephridia, and the last one we have is pharyngeal nephridia, right? So this is the complete solution of question number 2. Now we are going to discuss question number 3. Draw a labeled diagram of reproductive organs of an earthworm. Alright, so we have to draw reproductive organ of earthworm. So let's make this answer number 3. We are going to make reproductive organs in earthworm. So we'll take the last part and we are going to make the 8th segment, 9th one, the 10th one, 11th, 12th and 13th. Same here, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th. Let's make the segments. So these are the segments. Now this is 8th segment, this is 9th, this is 10th, this is 11th, 12th and 13th segment, right? Now we are going to write or draw the reproductive organs of earthworm in this. So the reproductive organs of this earthworm will start from the 10th segment, like here. Now the next one, here we are going to make like this. Right. Now ovaries which are present between 12th and 13th segment in earthworm. Somewhere here the ovaries are found. So these are ovaries. See, these are spermatical funnels these are seminal vesicles. Now, this is the diagram and now I am going to label it here. So, if we talk about this one, then these are the testis sac with testis. So, this is your testis sac. Two are the testis sac present in the 10th and 11th segment of earthworm. These are the testis sac with testis. Now, if we talk about the next one, then these are the spermiducal funnels. These are spermiducal funnels. Then the next one we have these structures are seminal vesicles. Seminal vesicles. And these are the ovaries. These are the ovaries. So this is your complete labeled diagram of reproductive organs in earthworm. And with this we have completed question number 3. So let's talk about question number 4, and in this question also we have to draw a labeled diagram of alimentary canal of cockroach. So now we have to make a diagram which is labeled, and what diagram we have to make? Alimentary canal of cockroaches we have to make. So let's start with this. Answer number 4, and now we are going to make a diagram for the alimentary canal of cockroach, which will start like this. Right, now this we are making a midgut, then an excretory organ of cockroaches, and from here the last part of this alimentary canal. So this is your diagram of alimentary canal of cockroaches. Now we are going to label this. Right? So this is the complete diagrammatic representation of alimentary canal of cockroaches. And now let's label this. So first part of this alimentary canal is pharynx. This is your pharynx. Then this is esophagus. Esophagus of alimentary canal of cockroaches. Then here this portion is known as crop of cockroaches. This portion is known as gizzard. This portion is known as gizzard. Right? Now these structures, these filamentous structures you can see below the gizzard part of the alimentary canal in cockroaches. These are hepatic caecae. So these are hepatic caecae. These are hepatic caecae. Then this whole thing, the tube-like structure which I'm actually drawing lining of white colors in this. This is your midgut of alimentary canal in cockroaches, right? So this whole portion is midgut, and also we can call it as mesentron in cockroaches, right? So this is your midgut, or you can call it as mesentron, right? Now This structure, again filamentous structure, you can see in the alimentary canal of cockroaches. This is nothing but an excretory organ of cockroach, which is known as Malpighian tubule. So these are Malpighian tubule, Malpighian tubules, and these are the excretory organs of cockroaches. Then here we comes to this last part of the alimentary canal in cockroaches. So this is your ileum, and this is your rectum. This is your ileum and this is your rectum and this is your colon. Right? So now we have completed with the diagram or diagrammatic representation of alimentary canal in cockroaches along with the labeling of it. So this is your complete solution of question number 4. So now we have to discuss another question, that is question number 5, and in the question number 5 also we have 2 parts. Now we have to distinguish between the followings. The part 1 says we have to distinguish between prostomium and peristomium. The second part of this is to distinguish between septal nephridium and pharyngeal nephridium. Alright, if we talk about the first part of this question, that is distinguishing between prostomium and peristomium. What are prostomium and peristomium? So before moving on to the answer of this question, I have a diagram to show you what is actually prostomium, how does it look, and what is peristomium and how does it look. See, this is the diagram of an earthworm which is showing you peristomium and prostomium as well. See, this is the mouth, anterior part of an earthworm. This lobe, the first one, this first one is actually a fleshy lobe. This lobe is nothing but prostomium. Now, after this, the first segment in the body of earthworm is known as peristomium. So, this is the diagram which is showing you the prostomium and peristomium. Now, let's move on to the answer, on to the definition or distinguishing features between prostomium and peristomium. Right, if we talk about prostomium, then what is prostomium? It is actually a fleshy lobe. Prostomium is a fleshy lobe which overhangs the mouth of an earthworm. Right, prostomium is a fleshy lobe which overhangs the mouth of an earthworm. And what is peristomium? Peristomium is the first segment of the body of an earthworm. Right, peristomium is the first segment of body of earthworm. If we talk about the functions of these two, then prostomium helps the earthworm push into the soil and is also functions as sensory organ. Right? Now, if we talk about the next one, that is peristomium, it just surrounds the mouth. It just surrounds the mouth. So this is the basic difference between prostomium and peristomium. Let's write the answer of this. So we have to make columns for prostomium and peristomium. In the left column, we will be writing about prostomium, and in the right column, this is your prostomium. And in the right column, we are going to write about peristomium. Right? Now, if we talk about what is prostomium, we know that prostomium is a fleshy lobe which overhangs the mouth of an earthworm. So, we are going to write what is prostomium. This is just a fleshy lobe. Fleshy lobe which overhangs the mouth of an earthworm, right? Now, if we talk about the next one, that is peristomium. What is peristomium? It is the first segment of the body of the earthworm. So, first one in the peristomium we have is, it is the first segment It is the first segment of the body of an earthworm. Right? Now the second point, the another point for these is it helps the earthworm, pushing into the soil, and is sensory in function. It is sensory in function. The next point for peristomium is it just surrounds the mouth of an earthworm, right? So this is the difference between prostomium and peristomium. With this, we have completed the first part of this question, and moving on to the next part, let's talk about the next part of this question, what it is asking. It is asking to distinguish between septal nephridia and your pharyngeal nephridia. So we know that what is the difference between septal nephridia and pharyngeal nephridia. First of all, what is nephridia? Nephridia is an excretory organ. You will find it in earthworm, right? Nephridia is an excretory organ found in earthworms. Now, based on the location, we have three types of nephridia: septal nephridia, integumentary nephridia, and the third one we have is pharyngeal nephridia, right? On the basis of location, where does these three types of nephridias are actually located or present in the body of earthworm. So in this question, we have asked about the difference between these two nephridias, the distinguishing features between septal nephridia and pharyngeal nephridia. So we know that if we talk about the septal nephridias are present on the both side of intersegmental septa, behind the 15th segment of earthworm, right? And it opens into the intestine. If we talk about the next one, that is pharyngeal nephridia, then these are present as three paired tufts in the 4th, 5th and 6th segment of earthworm, right? Now, the second function or second feature for distinguishing both these two is that septal nephridia is actually removes the metabolic waste from coelomic fluid and blood, right? And the pharyngeal nephridia removes metabolic waste from blood only. So these are the distinguishing features between septal nephridia and pharyngeal nephridia. So let's write answer of B as a part of question number 5. So now we have to make a column again. In the left column, we are going to write septal nephridia. Septal nephridia. And in the right column, we have to write pharyngeal nephridia. All right. So we know that what is septal nephridia? These are present on the both sides of intersegmental septa, right? So let's write the first point of this. Septal nephridias are found on both sides of intersegmental septa after or behind 15th segment. 15th, this is 5, right? 15th segment in earthworm. Also which opens into intestine. It opens into intestine. What nephridia? Which nephridia opens into intestine? The septal nephridia of earthworm opens into the intestine of it, right? Now, if we talk about the next one, that is your pharyngeal nephridia, where you will find these kind of nephridias. These will found in the paired structures, in the paired tuft structures, right? So we are going to write these structures, these nephridias are found as the 3 paired tufts. In which segment? In 4th, 5th and 6th segment, right? In 4th, 5th and 6th segment, right? Now the next point of these two, if we talk about the septal nephridia, then it removes, nephridia is actually an excretory organ, so obviously it will remove metabolic waste from the body to the outside. So it removes, we are talking about the septal nephridia, it removes the metabolic waste from blood and coelomic fluid, right? But if we talk about the removal of waste, removal of metabolic waste through these pharyngeal nephredias, they are going to remove metabolic waste from blood only. So this is the difference, right? So let's write about this. It removes the metabolic waste from blood only. It removes metabolic waste from blood only. So these are the distinguishing features, or this is the difference between septal nephridia and your pharyngeal nephridia. So along with this, we have completed the solution number 5. The next we have to discuss is question number 6. What are the cellular components of blood? Alright, so we have to tell about the cellular components of blood. First of all, blood is a connective tissue, right? Blood is a connective tissue, and if we talk about the major components or components of blood, then components of bloods are erythrocytes, that means RBC, red blood cells. Then we have leukocytes, that means WBC, white blood cells. Then we have thrombocytes, which means platelets, and also plasma is there. So all these 4 components such as erythrocytes, leukocytes, thrombocytes and plasma, these 4 components are actually responsible for the formation of blood, right? Now these cells, erythrocytes, leukocytes, thrombocytes are actually the cellular components of blood. These are the cellular components of blood, and they are forming 45% of the blood. They contribute in the formation of 45% of the blood, and the remaining 55% of the blood is actually formed from the fluid portion, that is plasma, right? So first of all, what is the thing? That blood is actually a connective tissue. Now, if we talk about the components of blood, it is made up of erythrocytes, leukocytes, thrombocytes and plasma. Plasma contribute into the blood for about 55%, and the erythrocytes, leukocytes, thrombocytes, these all 3 types are the cellular components, or are the different types of cells suspended in the fluid portion called as plasma in the blood, which contributes into the blood for around 45% of it, right? Now, this question is actually asking about only the cellular components of blood, such as erythrocytes, leukocytes and thrombocytes. Because plasma is actually a fluid portion. Plasma is actually a fluid portion. So, we are not going to talk about the plasma in this question. We have to tell the cellular components of blood in this question only. So, if we talk about the cellular components one by one, we have erythrocytes first of all. Erythrocytes are red blood cells, or we can call them as RBCs, right? So, if we talk about the mammalian erythrocytes, then they are anucleated, they are enucleated, right? This means they do not have a nucleus. There is no presence of nucleus in the RBCs of mammals. If we talk about the shape, then the shape of RBC is biconcave, right? If you talk about mammalian erythrocytes, that means red blood cells, they are biconcave in shape. They are enucleated cells. And if you talk about what is the main function of RBC or erythrocyte, they are actually, first of all, they are actually colored cells. RBCs or erythrocytes are colored cells due to the presence of hemoglobin pigment in them, right? Now, what is the function? What is the main function of RBCs or erythrocytes? They transport oxygen to the tissues. They transport oxygen or respiratory gases into the body, right? So, this is the main function of erythrocyte or RBC. Then if we talk about the next cellular component of blood, that is we have leukocyte or WBC. WBC or leukocyte means white blood cells. First of all, they are nucleated cells and there is no regular shape of them is fixed. There is no regular shape of leukocytes or WBC. They are irregular shaped, but they are nucleated. That means whenever we are talking about the mammalian erythrocytes or RBC, they are enucleated. They do not contain nucleus in them. Instead of them, they are having hemoglobin, which is a pigment, respiratory pigment, which helps in the transportation of respiratory gases such as oxygen into the body. But if we talk about the WBC cells, that is leukocytes, they are nucleated, right? They are irregular in shape. And if we talk about the function of them, that is the main function of leukocyte is they help into providing the immunity to you, and also we can call them as they are actually the main part of self-defense mechanism in our body, right? If we talk about leukocytes or WBC, they are divided into two groups, granulocytes and agranulocytes, right? Based on the presence of granules in them, So, we have divided leukocytes or WBCs into two categories, granulocytes and agranulocytes. So, in the granulocyte, three major types of cells are included, that is basophils, eosinophils and neutrophils. And in the category of agranulocytes, lymphocytes and monocytes are included. What is the function? They help in killing the microorganisms which are actually causative organisms for various kind of diseases into our body. They helps in killing them. They helps us fighting with them, right? So, this is the main function of leukocytes or WBC. Moving on to the last cellular component of blood, that is thrombocyte, which we can call also by the name platelets, right? You must have heard about platelets. The main function, the very important function of thrombocytes or platelets is actually providing blood clotting, or they activate during the blood coagulation, right? So, thrombocytes or platelets are actually functions as blood clotting factors or blood clotting cells, right? These are the cells or cell fragments which are made from the megakaryocytes of bone, and the main function of them, they help in the blood coagulation or blood clotting. So, this is the cellular components of blood. So, now let's write answer of this question, and we will writing like this. We will start like this, that components of blood. Components of blood are erythrocytes, leukocytes, thrombocytes, and plasma, But plasma is the fluid portion of blood, whereas erythrocytes, leukocytes, and thrombocytes are the cellular components, of blood, right? Among all these four, erythrocytes, leukocytes, and thrombocytes, and your plasma, erythrocytes, leukocytes, thrombocytes are the cellular components of blood, whereas plasma is actually fluid portion of blood, right? Now let's talk about the cellular components of blood. The first one we have is erythrocyte. If we talk about the first cellular component, that is erythrocyte, we can call it as red blood cell, or RBC, right? Now if we talk about what are these erythrocytes or what is the function of them, so first of all we'll write that erythrocytes are biconcave, enucleated, that means there is no nucleus present in them, and they are colored cells. They are biconcave, enucleated, and colored cells. Why they are colored and due to which these are the colored? Because of the presence of hemoglobin pigment in them, they are colored cells, right? Mammalian erythrocytes are enucleated and there is the presence of hemoglobin pigment in them. These cells, erythrocyte cells, are red colored cells because of the presence of hemoglobin pigment in them. The shape of erythrocyte is biconcave, as we already have discussed. Then if we talk about the function of erythrocyte, so they help in the transportation of respiratory gases into body. Right, so this is about erythrocytes or RBC. Moving on to the next cellular component of blood, that is we have leukocyte, right? Let's write leukocyte and thrombocyte on the next slide. So I'm writing about leukocyte, the next cellular component of blood over here, that is leukocyte, right? Now if we talk about this leukocyte, they are also called as white blood cells, or in abbreviated form we can write them as WBC, right? Now if we talk about leukocyte, they are also known as white blood cells or WBC. They are nucleated, that means nucleus is present in them. So we'll writing like this, these are nucleated irregular shaped cells, right? Leukocytes are irregular in shape, there is no fixed shape in them, and also they have nucleus in them. So they are nucleated cells. Now these WBCs are divided into two categories. That is granulocytes into which we count basophils eosinophils and neutrophils, right? The next category we have is granulocyte, agranulocyte, right? And we count the agranulocytes as lymphocytes and monocytes. Alright, remember these all are the WBC cells: basophil cells, eosinophil cells, neutrophil cells, lymphocytes and monocytes. All these are the various kinds of WBCs or leukocytes only. They are just categorized into two different groups based upon the presence of granules in them, right? So all these basophils, eosinophils, neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, all are the types of leukocytes or WBC cells, and the function of them is, if you talk about the function of leukocyte, then they help in fighting against the microorganisms, or I may write pathogens, right? Pathogens are the microorganism which causes diseases in us, right? Pathogens are actually the microorganisms which are responsible for causing diseases into the body. So WBC cells or leukocyte cells are actually helping in fighting against the pathogens. Hence they are the cells providing immunity and self-defense mechanism, right? So this is your second cellular component of blood, that is leukocyte or WBC. Moving on to the last cellular component of blood, that is thrombocytes. Or we can call them as platelets, right? So the third or last cellular component of blood we have is thrombocyte, or we can call them as platelets. They are cell fragments. These are cell fragments. So thrombocytes or platelets are cell fragments formed from the megakaryocytes, formed from the megakaryocytes of bone. And if you talk about the function of thrombocytes and platelets, they are helping in the blood coagulation or clotting, right? So these thrombocytes helps during blood coagulation or clotting, right? So these are the cellular components of blood. Alright, so with this, all these three components, we have completed question number 6. Moving on to the next question, that is question number 7. What are the following and where do you find them in animal body? So we have to tell about all these, such as chondrocytes, axons, ciliated epithelium. We have to tell where all these are actually found in the body of animals. So first is chondrocytes. What is chondrocytes? Chondrocytes are the cells of cartilages, right? Chondrocytes are the cells of cartilages which you will find in the small cavities. Basically, these are the cells of chondrocytes. That means the special name for cells of cartilages is chondrocytes. And these chondrocytes are present in the small cavity within the matrix secreted by them. So that is the place you will find in the animal, that is chondrocyte, right? Now next one we have is axon. What is axon? Axon is just long, slender projection of a neuron, right? Axon is long, slender projection of neuron which helps in the carrying of nerve impulses from neuron body. Whenever axons, several axons aggregate together, they makes up nerves in our body, right? So this is what axon we have or we found in animal's body. The third, the last one we have a ciliated epithelium. Now ciliated epithelium is actually epithelium which can be consisting of columnar or cuboidal epithelium, right? It is consisting of either columnar or cuboidal epithelium, and with the presence of cilia, on their free surfaces. You will find these kind of epithelium, ciliated epithelium in the oviduct and bronchioles, which helps in the movement, which helps in the transportation of ovum and mucus in the specific directions. So these are the locations, these are the places you will find all of these in the animal's body. So now we are going to write the answer of this, and we are starting the answer with A, the first section of question number 7, that is about chondrocyte. So chondrocytes are the cells of cartilage which are present in small cavities, within the matrix, secreted by them, right? So this is what we have about chondrocytes. Chondrocytes are the special cells of cartilages, right, which you will find in the small cavities within the matrix secreted by themselves only. So this is about chondrocytes. Next we have is axon. Let's talk about the second part of this question, that is axon. So what is axon? These are the long, slender projections of neurons. These are the long, slender projections of neurons, right, which helps in carrying the nerve impulses from neuron body, right? Now whenever these axons aggregate, they makes up nerves in our body, So the nerves we talk about are actually the aggregation of these axons, right? Now we are left with the third part, the last part of this question, and we are going to write this part, the last part, on the next slide. Here, the ciliated epithelium, right? So we are going to write ciliated epithelium over here. Ciliated epithelium. Now what is ciliated epithelium? It is consisting of columnar or cuboidal epithelium, It is actually a type of epithelium, right? This is the ciliated epithelium, which is a part of epithelial tissue, right? So ciliated epithelium can be consisting of columnar epithelium or can be consisting of cuboidal epithelium. Now with it is consisting of columnar or cuboidal epithelium with the presence of cilia, on their free surfaces, You will find the ciliated epithelium in oviducts. These will found in oviducts and bronchioles, which helps in the transportation of egg and mucus in a specific direction, right? So it helps in the transportation of ovum and mucus in specific direction with the help of cilia present in them, right? So this is what we have for question number 7, and with this we have completed question number 7, solution number 7. So let's discuss question number 8 here, and in the question number 8 we have to describe various types of epithelial tissue with the help of labeled diagram, right? So what is epithelial tissue? First of all, we will see what is epithelial tissue, then we will move on to the various types of epithelial tissue, right? So what is epithelial tissue? Epithelial tissue is actually a tissue which lines the surface of a body, right? We have various kinds of tissues present in our body, or we can say that our body is actually made up of various kinds of tissues, right? We have different types of tissues such as epithelial tissue, nervous tissue, muscular tissue, right? We have different types of tissues, and among these we have this epithelial tissue to describe, and the various types of epithelial tissue we have to describe according to this question. Now if we talk about what is epithelial tissue, epithelial tissue is the tissue which lines the surface of our body and forms a protective covering. Epithelial tissue is your tissue which lines the surface of a body and forms a protective covering. The cells of epithelial tissue are arranged or packed so tightly with little intercellular spaces, with little intercellular matrix in them. This is your epithelial tissue. Now we have basically two types of, we have to describe the various types of epithelial tissue, right? So basically we have two types of epithelial tissue, that is your simple epithelial tissue and your compound epithelial tissue. Now what is the difference between these two? Why these two are categorized into different groups? as simple epithelium and compound epithelium. The basic difference between these two is whenever we talk about the simple epithelium, then simple epithelial tissue or simple epithelium is consisting of or is made up of only single layer of cells. Only single layer of cells, right? And the main function of this simple epithelium is secretion and absorption. If you talk about the next type of or another type of epithelial tissue or epithelium is compound epithelium, and the compound epithelium or compound epithelial tissue is made up of or consisting of many layers of cells, right? That is why we are calling it as compound epithelium or compound epithelial tissue. The main function, the main or primary function of compound epithelium or compound epithelial tissue is to provide protection, That is the primary function of compound epithelium, and the function of absorption and secretion is limited in compound epithelium. Right, so we have basically two types of epithelium, simple epithelium and compound epithelium, right, based upon the number of layers of cells present in both these, right. Now, if we talk about the first one, as we have to describe all the various types of epithelial tissues. So, if we talk about the first one, the epithelial tissue, the simple epithelial tissue or simple epithelium. As we know that simple epithelium or simple epithelial tissue is consisting or made up of only single layer of cells, right. So, this is further divided into 5 categories. Simple epithelium is divided into further 5 categories such as simple squamous epithelium, simple cuboidal epithelium, simple columnar epithelium, then we have ciliated epithelium, and the last one, the 5th one we have is glandular epithelium. So, all these 5 epitheliums are the types, various types of simple epithelium, right. Now, starting with the very first type of simple epithelium, that is simple squamous epithelium. Simple squamous epithelium is the epithelium consisting of single layer of flat cells. Simple squamous epithelium is the epithelium which consisting of a single layer of flat cells with irregular boundaries, right, and you will find this simple squamous epithelium in the blood vessels of your body and in the linings of alveoli, right. So, this is your simple squamous epithelium. Then if we talk about the next type of simple epithelium, we have is cuboidal epithelium, simple cuboidal epithelium. This is also a type of simple epithelium, so obviously it is also will be consisting of single layer of cells, but the shape of cell is cuboidal in them. So, simple cuboidal epithelium is consisting of single layer of cuboidal cells, and you will find the simple cuboidal epithelium or simple cuboidal epithelial tissue wherever the function of secretion and absorption takes place, like in the proximal convoluted tubule of nephron. In the proximal convoluted tubule of nephron, you will find this simple cuboidal epithelium, right. Now, moving on to the third type of simple epithelium, that is columnar epithelium. Columnar epithelium is a type of simple epithelium which is consisting of long slender cells with the presence of nucleus at the base of cells, right. The nucleus of these long slender cells are present at the base of them, and they may bear microvilli on their free surfaces. These cells also can bear microvilli on their free surfaces. Now, where do you find these simple cuboidal, simple columnar epithelium? You will find in the inner linings of stomach and intestine, where the absorption and secretion takes place. As we know that the main or primary function of simple epithelium is the absorption and secretion, right. So, this is, we have columnar epithelium. Now, moving on to the ciliated epithelium, which is the 4th type of simple epithelial tissue or simple epithelium, right. The ciliated epithelium can be consisting of cuboidal or columnar cells or epithelium, right? Ciliated epithelium can have columnar cells or can have cuboidal cells, and you will find this ciliated epithelium in the oviduct and bronchioles. Also, the cilia are present on the free surfaces of the cell, which helps in the transportation or which helps in the direction of ovum or mucus in specific directions. So this is, we have ciliated epithelium. Now moving on to the last type of simple epithelium, that is glandular epithelium. Now glandular epithelium also can be consisting of columnar cells or cuboidal cells. Glands are differentiated into two categories as unicellular glands or multicellular glands. Unicellular glands, if we talk about, then they are goblet cells present in your alimentary canal, and multicellular glands are salivary glands in your body. So also these glands are divided into different categories as exocrine glands and endocrine glands based upon the secretion they are going to make, or based upon the type or method of secretion of their enzymes, right? So we have completed the simple epithelium. Now moving on to the compound epithelium. Compound epithelium, we know, is an epithelium which is consisting of many layers of cell. The primary function of compound epithelium is to provide protection and has limited to the function of absorption and secretion. If you talk about where do you find this compound epithelium, you will find this compound epithelium on the dry surface of your skin. The dry surface of your skin, where you will need the most protection, right? This is the main function, this is the primary function of compound epithelium. That is why the compound epithelium, which is consisting of many layers of cell, you will find this layer of epithelium on the dry surface of your skin and in the inner linings of your buccal cavity, right, into your pharynx, then in the pancreatic duct, also in the inner linings of duct of salivary glands. So this is what we have, various types of epithelial tissue, right? Now we are going to write this answer. As this answer is long, let's write this answer, and we will start writing the answer with epithelial tissue. The basic definition of epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue is the tissue which lines the surface of our body, So epithelial tissue is the tissue which lines the surface of your body and forms a protective covering and forms a protective covering, right? The cells of epithelial tissue are packed tightly. The cells of this epithelial tissue are arranged or packed tightly with little intercellular matrix, right? So the cells of epithelial tissue are present or arranged or packed into tightly with the little intercellular matrix. So this is the basic definition of epithelial tissue. Now we have two types of epithelial tissue. We have two types of epithelial tissue. What are these two types of epithelial tissue? One is simple epithelium and compound epithelium is the another one. So the number one we have is simple epithelium or simple epithelial tissue. The second one we have is compound epithelium or compound epithelial tissue. Now, if we write the definition of simple epithelium or compound epithelium, we will write like this. Simple epithelium is the tissue with only single layer of cell. Single layer of cells concerned with the function of absorption and secretion, right? And the compound epithelium is consisting of many layers of cells, concerned with the function of protection, mainly, right? Now on the next slide we are going to write various types of simple epithelial tissues or simple epithelium, right? So moving on to the next slide, and we are going to write various types of simple epithelium. So we have 5 types of or various types of simple epithelium. The first one we have is simple squamous epithelium. Simple squamous epithelium, right? Simple squamous epithelium. So this layer is consisting of single layer of flat cells with irregular boundaries. So this is consisting of single layer of flat cells, with irregular boundaries, right? Now, if we talk about the function or where you will find this simple squamous epithelium, then this will be found in the blood vessels, and lining of alveoli. You will find this simple squamous epithelium in the lining of alveoli and in the blood vessels in your body. Now let's make a diagram of this simple squamous epithelium. So here we have single layer of flat cells with irregular boundaries. These are the flat cells. Also, the most important thing or the most important feature about simple epithelium is the presence of basement membrane. The presence of basement membrane in them, which is acellular in nature. And in the compound epithelium, you will not find the basement membrane. So here, these flat cells with nucleus and irregular boundaries are attached to the basement membrane. So this is your basement membrane to which the cells of simple epithelium are directly in contact or attached. So this is your basement membrane, which is the important feature of simple epithelium, and you will not find this basement membrane in the compound epithelium. This basement membrane is acellular in nature, right, and is present only in the simple epithelium. So this is the diagram of simple squamous epithelium. These are the flat cells, right, and this is your basement membrane. This is your basement membrane, right. Now moving on to the next type of simple epithelium, moving on to the second type of simple epithelium is simple cuboidal, simple cuboidal epithelium, simple cuboidal epithelium, right. So obviously this is also consisting of single layer of cuboidal cells, single layer of cuboidal cells, right, and these will be present, these are found on the places where the absorption and secretion takes place. Secretion takes place, like in convoluted proximal convoluted tubule, proximal convoluted tubule of nephron, right. So you will find this simple cuboidal epithelium in the proximal convoluted tubule of nephron in the animal body. Now let's make a diagram of this simple cuboidal epithelium. So here, this is a basement membrane, of course. In each and every various type of simple epithelium, you will find acellular basement membrane to which the single layer of cells are attached. The single layer of cells are attached. As we are talking about the simple cuboidal epithelium, the single layer of cells are cuboidal, right? So we are going to make cuboidal cells. So these are the cuboidal cells arranged in a single layer and are attached on the basement membrane. So this is your basement membrane and this is your cuboidal cells of simple cuboidal epithelium, right? Now moving on to the third type of simple epithelium tissue or simple epithelium. So the third type of simple epithelium we have is simple columnar epithelium. Simple columnar epithelium. Now, as this is a part or this is a type of simple epithelium, this is also will be consisting of single layer of cells. So, we'll write like this. This is consisting of single layer of long, slender cells. They may bear microvilli on their free surface, right? And you will find the simple columnar epithelium in the lining of stomach and intestine where the absorption and secretion is taking place. So, this is present in the inner linings of stomach and intestine where the absorption and secretion takes place, right? So this is the example. Stomach and intestine is the example of simple columnar epithelium. Let's make a diagram for this. Also, the important thing about this is the nucleus of these cells are present at the base of the cells. So, the nucleus, we will star mark it, the nucleus of these cells are present at the base, Now let's make a diagram to show this simple columnar epithelium. Here, these are the long cells, may or may not bear microvilli on their free surfaces. The free surface of them is this. They may bear microvilli on their free surface like that. And the nucleus of them is actually present at the base of the cells like this. See, the nucleus are present at the base of cells. This is your basement membrane and this is the diagrammatic representation of your simple columnar epithelium. Now moving on to the next type of simple epithelium, that is your ciliated epithelium. Ciliated epithelium. Now, it consists of cuboidal or columnar epithelium. It consists of cuboidal or columnar epithelium, right? You will find this in, this is found in the oviducts and bronchioles, where they direct the ovum and mucus in a specific direction, right? So this is the function, function of your ciliated epithelium. The last one, we are moving on to the last one. Last type of simple epithelium, that is your glandular epithelium. Glandular epithelium. Now, it also consists of cuboidal or columnar epithelium. It is also consisting of cuboidal or columnar epithelium. The glands are of two types. that is unicellular. What is the example of unicellular? Goblet cells. Goblet cells of alimentary canal. Alimentary canal. And multicellular glands such as salivary glands. Salivary glands. Also these glands can be categorized as exocrine and endocrine by the method of releasing enzyme. Right, so we have completed with the first type of epithelial tissue, that is your simple epithelial tissue. Now we have to write about compound epithelial tissue. I hope you get it. What is simple epithelial tissue? This is your answer. I hope you get it, and let's screenshot this as we are going to write the compound epithelium on the same slide. See, we are going to write simple, we are going to write cuboidal epithelium over here. So the second type of epithelium we have is cuboidal epithelium. Cuboidal epithelium. Now, as we know that in the simple epithelium there was actually a single layer of cells attached to the basement membrane. There is no basement membrane you will find in the cuboidal epithelial tissue, right? So there is no basement membrane in the cuboidal tissue, cuboidal epithelium tissue, and there are many layers of cells consisting and forming cuboidal epithelium. So these are consisting of many layers of cells, many layers of cells, right? And functions as to provide protection right. Now if we talk about some examples where you will find this compound epithelium, so you will find this compound epithelium on the dry surface of skin, wherever you will where you will find you will need most protection. So dry surface of skin, you will find here this cuboidal epithelium on the dry surface of skin, along with the inner linings of buccal cavity, then pharynx, pancreatic duct, and inner lining of the ducts of salivary gland. So these are the positions, these are the some organs where you will find compound epithelium, right? And with this we have completed question number 8. So now let's discuss question number 9, and this question number 9, distinguish between simple epithelium and compound epithelium. Basically this question number 9 contains 5 parts and we have to distinguish between all of them into different parts. So on this first slide we have the first part of this question number 9, and we have to distinguish between simple epithelium and compound epithelium. So let's write the difference between simple epithelium and compound epithelium. First of all, all, I hope you know what is simple epithelium and compound epithelium. Simple epithelium is the epithelium which is consisting of a single layer of cells, right? And in the compound epithelium, it is consisting of many layers of cells. Also, an important feature, very important feature of simple epithelium is the presence of basement membrane in them. As they are consisting of only single layer of cells, all these single layer of cells are attached on the basement membrane, which is acellular. And this basement membrane you will not find in the compound epithelial tissue. If we talk about the main functions or primary functions of these two tissues, epithelial tissues, then the simple epithelium is concerned with the function of absorption and secretion in the body. And if you talk about the function of compound epithelium, they are mainly concerned with the function of protection. They provide protection to our body, right? They provide protection to the specific organs wherever these compound epitheliums are present, and has limited role, limited function in the absorption and secretion, right? So this is the basic difference between simple epithelium and compound epithelium. Let's write this. So in the left column, we are going to write simple epithelium, simple epithelium, and in the right column we are going to write compound epithelium, compound epithelium. Now, the first point of simple epithelium is it is consisting of single layer of cells, attached to the basement membrane, right? And if you talk about compound epithelium, then it is consisting of many layers of cells, This is the first distinguishing feature of simple epithelium and compound epithelium. Let's talk about the another one, that is the function. So it is mainly concerned with, we are talking about the simple epithelium. So it is mainly concerned with the function of absorption and secretion, And if we talk about the second point of compound epithelium, then the compound epithelium is mainly concerned with the protection of organ, right? So this is mainly concerned with providing protection and has limited role in absorption and secretion. The last point to distinguish these two kinds of epithelium is examples. If we talk about the example of simple epithelium, you will find this simple epithelium in the stomach, intestine, PCT, that means proximal convoluted tubules, and then blood vessels, right? These are some examples of simple epithelium. If we talk about the examples of compound epithelium, you will find it on the dry surface of skin. You will find it in the inner linings of buccal cavity, pharynx, etc. Right? So this is the answer of part 1 of question number 9. We have already distinguished between this epithelium, simple epithelium tissue or simple epithelial tissue and your compound epithelial tissue or compound epithelium. Now moving on to the next part, the B part of the same question, and that we have to distinguish between some other terms, right? So here in the second part of the same question, question number 9, we have to distinguish between cardiac muscles and striated muscles. Alright, so in the left column we are going to write about cardiac muscles, and in the right column we are going to write striated muscles, Now, what are cardiac muscles and what are striated muscles? Cardiac muscles are the special kind of muscles which are involuntary in function. Involuntary in function, that means we cannot regulate the muscles of cardiac. We cannot regulate the cardiac muscles. They are involuntary in function. They are involuntary in nature. Whereas if we talk about the second type of muscle, that is striated muscles are the muscles which are voluntary in functions. We can regulate them. We can regulate the contraction and relaxation of these muscles. Hence, they are voluntary in function, voluntary in nature. And these one, the cardiac muscles, are involuntary in function. This is the first feature which distinguishes these two types of muscles. The second feature which distinguishes or differentiates this cardiac muscles from striated muscle is the cardiac muscles are multinucleated muscles with the branching. The cardiac muscles or the cells of cardiac muscles are multinucleated and are branched. If we talk about this striated muscles, then they are also multinucleated but they are unbranched. The cardiac muscles you will find in only heart. Only heart is made up of cardiac muscles. Nowhere you will find this kind of muscles in your body. Cardiac muscles are only present in your heart. If we talk about the striated muscles, you will find striated muscles in your limbs, your biceps, triceps, etc. These are voluntary in nature and are found in triceps, biceps and limbs in your body. So these are the differences between these two, and let's write answer. The first point of this cardiac muscle would be these are the special type of muscles, special type of muscles and they are involuntary in function, involuntary in function. Then if we talk about the first point of this striated muscles, then these are the muscles, these are the muscles with voluntary nature, That means we can regulate the function of these muscles. These are involuntary in function. Cardiac muscles are involuntary in function, whereas the striated muscles are voluntary in function. The next point of this cardiac muscles is they are multinucleated. They are multinucleated with branching. That means they are branched. And the second point of striated muscles is also they are also multinucleated. They are also multinucleated but are unbranched. And if we talk about where do you find these cardiac muscles, and where do you find this striated muscles? So this makes the third point of this. So cardiac muscles you will find in the heart. Cardiac muscles are present only in the heart. In the heart. Then the striated muscles you will find in the triceps, biceps and limbs. So this is the basic features, these are the basic features which distinguishes between cardiac muscles and striated muscles. So along with this, we have completed solution number B of question number 9. Now let's move on the third part of the same question. The third part of question number 9 is asking to distinguish between dense regular and dense irregular connective tissue. So we have to distinguish these two tissues, dense regular tissue and dense irregular tissue. Now let's write answer number C of 9. In the left column we are going to discuss dense regular tissue, and in this we are going to write irregular tissue, dense irregular tissues, right. So if we talk about the first point of dense regular tissue, then the collagen fibers, in this dense regular tissue the collagen fibers are arranged in row, rows between the parallel fibers, and the first point of this dense irregular tissue is the collagen fibers. The collagen fibers are arranged irregularly. Then this dense regular tissue you will find in tendon and ligaments. So tendon and ligaments are the examples of dense regular tissue, and here in dense irregular tissue the skin is example. Skin is an example. You will find this dense irregular tissue in skin. Right. So this is your solution for part C or part 3rd of question number 9. Now let's talk about the next part of the same question, that is part D, or this question contains adipose and blood tissue. We have to distinguish between adipose tissue and blood tissue. Alright, so if we talk about adipose tissue, then adipose tissue is consisting of collagen fibers, elastin fibers, fibroblasts, adipocytes and macrophages. Right, all these actually fibers, fibroblasts, macrophages, elastin fibers, collagen fibers, all these are the components which makes up adipose tissue. Whereas if we talk about the blood tissue, then blood tissue is composed of RBC, WBC, platelets and plasma. Right, so this is your composition of blood tissue. Then if we talk about the adipose tissue, what is the function of adipose tissue? So it helps in the synthesization, storage and metabolism of fat, whereas blood functions for the transportation of food, waste, hormones, etc. in your body. Then if we talk about the third feature of adipose tissue, you will find this adipose tissue beneath your skin, and you will find this blood tissue in your blood vessels. Right? Now let's write the answer of this question. We will distinguish blood tissue and adipose tissue. In the left column, we are going to write adipose tissue, and in the right column we are going to write blood tissue, blood tissue. So the first point about adipose tissue is it consists of collagen fibers, elastin fibers. The first point is it consists of collagen fibers, elastin fibers, fibroblasts, macrophages and adipocytes. Adipocytes. Whereas if we talk about the blood tissue, then it is consisting of RBC, WBC, platelets and plasma. Now the second feature about adipose tissue is the function. What actually adipose tissue functions, right? What is the function of adipose tissue? So it helps in the synthesization storage and metabolism of fat. Whereas if we talk about the function of blood tissue, it helps in the transportation of some substances like gases, food, wastes and hormones as well. Now you will find this adipose tissue beneath your skin. The adipose tissue is present, whereas this blood tissue is present in your blood vessels. Right, blood vessels are the site where you will find the blood tissue. So with this we have completed the D part or fourth part of the same question. Now moving on to the last part of the same question, last part of the ninth question, that is we have to distinguish between simple glands and compound glands. So if we talk about simple glands, they contain isolated secretory cells, isolated glandular cells, whereas the compound glands contains clusters of secretory cells. If we talk about the simple glands, they are unicellular and the compound glands are multicellular. If we talk about examples of both these two glands, then we have example for simple gland as goblet cells present in the alimentary canal, and for compound glands we have examples salivary glands, right? So now we are going to write the different distinguishing features between these two. Here in the left column we are going to write simple glands, and in the right column we are going to write compound glands. The first point of simple gland is they contain the isolated glandular cells, whereas these compound glands contains the cluster of secretory cells. They are the clusters of secretory cells and they are isolated glandular cells. The second point is they are unicellular. cellular, they are multicellular. They are multicellular, right? Now if we talk about the examples of simple gland, right, we have example of simple gland as goblet cell in alimentary canal, and we have example for compound gland. Example for compound gland is salivary gland. So this is your example for compound gland and example for simple gland. With this we have completed the last part of 9th question, and also we have completed the whole question number 9. Now we are moving on to the next question, that is question number 10. So now question number 10 is asking mark the odd one in each series, right? So number A, we have areolar tissue, blood, neuron and tendon. In the series of A we have to mark the odd one out. So in this one, the A one, we have areolar tissue, blood, neuron and tendon. Now see, this areolar tissue, blood and tendon, these are the examples of connective tissue, whereas you will see this neuron is odd one out in this series because this is a type of neural tissue. So what is the odd one out in the A series? Neuron is the odd. Because it is neural tissue, whereas all these like areolar, tendon and your blood are the connective tissue, right? Now in the series 2, in the series of B of this question, we have RBC, WBC, platelets and cartilage. So WBC, RBC and platelets and cartilage, we have these all four in the series, and we have to mark the odd one in this. So WBC, RBC and platelets are the compositions of blood, and cartilage is another thing. Cartilage is another type of tissue. So this cartilage is the odd one out. This is your odd. And the remaining ones, RBC, WBC and platelets, are the components of blood as a connective tissue. The third one, C1, we have is exocrine, endocrine, salivary gland and ligament. So see, in the series of C, in the C part of this question, we have exocrine, endocrine, salivary glands and ligaments. So among these all four, the exocrine, endocrine and salivary glands, all these are the examples of glandular epithelium. Whereas the ligament is your connective tissue. So ligament is actually the odd one. It is odd. Ligament is odd, right? In the B1 we have odd as cartilage. In the C1 we have ligament as odd. In the D, let's see, in the D, maxilla, mandible, labrum and antennae. So in this one we have maxilla, mandible, labrum and antennae. And maxilla, mandible, labrum are the mouth parts of cockroach, whereas this antennae is the odd one because this is not the mouth part of cockroach. It is present on the head region of a cockroach. So antenna is the odd one. Antennae is the odd one. Moving on to the last one, that is protonema, mesothorax, metathorax and coxa. In the last part of this question, we have given protonema, mesothorax, metathorax and coxa. So what is the odd one? That is protonema. Why protonema? Because protonema is actually a developmental stage in the life cycle of a moss, and whereas in this E part we have mesothorax, metathorax and coxa as the segments or the parts of legs of cockroaches. So mesothorax, metathorax and coxa are the leg parts, are the parts of legs, in cockroaches, whereas the protonema is the developmental stage in the life cycle of a moss, right? So with this we have completed the solution of question number 10. Now let's talk about the next question, that is question number 11, and in this question we have to match the terms given in the column 1 with the terms given in the column 2. So let's talk about this. The first one, the A, in the column number 1 we have given compound epithelium. The second we have given compound eye. The third one we have given septal nephridia, then open circulatory system, typhlossole, osteocytes and genitalia. In the column 2 we have given alimentary canal, cockroach, skin, mosaic vision, earthworm, telomere and bone. So we have to match the terms given in the column 1 with the terms given in the column 2. Let's start with the very first term given in the column 1, that is compound epithelium. So let's match this compound epithelium with the terms given in the column 2. So easily we know that compound epithelium is the epithelium which is consisting of many layers of cell, and you will find this compound epithelium on the dry surface of the skin, in the inner linings of buccal cavity, pharynx, ducts of pancreas, etc. So see, which of the following we have given in the column 2 for compound epithelium? Alimentary canal, no. Cockroach, skin, yes, skin is the answer for A. So we are going to write A here. A is for skin. Compound epithelium is matching with the skin. Moving on to the next term given in the column number 1 is compound eye. Compound eye gives you mosaic vision always. So compound eye will always give you mosaic vision. See, this is your answer for B. Then we have C as septal nephridia. Septal nephridia is present in, we have already discussed that what are the nephridia. What is nephridia? It is an excretory organ present in earthworms. We have different types of, basically we have 3 types of nephridia: septal nephridia, integumentary nephridia, and we have pharyngeal nephridia. So you will find nephridia as an excretory organ in earthworms. So obviously this septal nephridia you will find in earthworms. So this is the answer for C. Now moving on to the D, open circulatory system. Open circulatory system, that means no blood vessels are present. The blood is not flowing into the vessels. The organs of an organism are directly bathing into the blood. That kind of blood circulatory system is termed as open circulatory system, which you will find in the cockroaches. You will find in the cockroaches. So this is your answer for D. Now then we have E, typhlossole. Typhlossole will go with your alimentary canal. Then we have left with telomere and bones. So this your typhlossole will go with alimentary canal. This is the E, answer for E. Then we have osteocytes. Osteocytes are the special kind of cells which are found in bones. So this will go with bones. This is your answer for F, and we have left with telomere, which is the answer for the last one, that is G. So these are matched. The terms given in the column 1 are matched with the terms given in the column 2. With this we have completed this question number 11. Now let's discuss next question, that is question number 12. In the question number 12 we have to mention briefly about the circulatory system of earthworm. We have to tell about the circulatory system of earthworm. First of all, earthworm is having closed type of circulatory system. Closed type of circulatory system, that means the circulatory system is closed type. That means the blood is flowing into the blood vessels and the organs are not directly into the contact with blood. Whereas in open circulatory system, the organs of an organism are directly bathing into the blood as there is no blood vessels present in them. But in closed circulatory system, blood vessels are always present, hence the blood is always flowing into the blood vessels. Similarly, if we talk about earthworm or which is known as Ferritima, the scientific name for earthworm is Ferritima, is having closed type of circulatory system. This closed type of circulatory system of Ferritima or earthworm is consisting of heart, blood vessels and capillaries. All these three things are constituting together to forming a closed circulatory system in Ferritima or earthworm. Now, the heart pumps blood for circulating in one direction. Then the blood is supplied by the smaller blood cells to the gut, nerve cord and body wall of earthworm. Blood glands are present in the 4th, 5th and 6th segment of earthworm, which produces blood cells and hemoglobin, which is dissolved in the blood plasma. Also, the blood cells of Ferritima or earthworm are phagocytic in nature. So, this is the description of circulatory system present in earthworm or Ferritima. Now, let's write the answer of this question number 12. Earthworm, which is also known as Ferritima, is having closed vascular circulatory system, circulating system consisting of a heart, blood vessels and blood capillaries. Right? So, earthworm, which is also known as Ferritima, is having closed vascular circulatory system which is comprising of heart, blood vessels and your blood capillaries. Now, the heart of earthworm pumps the blood for circulating in one direction, The blood then supplied, to the gut, nerve cord and body wall by smaller blood cells, right? So, the blood is supplied to the various body parts of earthworm with the help of these smaller blood cells. Then, the blood glands are also present in them. The blood glands are present in 4th, 5th and 6th segment, which produces blood cells which produces blood cells and hemoglobin, and hemoglobin dissolved in blood plasma, Also, the important thing about the blood cells of pheretima is they are phagocytic in nature. So, the blood cells of earthworm are phagocytic in nature. Right, so this is the complete solution of question number 12. Let's talk about the next question, question number 13. We have to draw a neat diagram of digestive system of frog. Alright, so here in the question number 13, we have to draw a diagram of digestive system of frog. Let's draw this diagram of digestive system in frog. It will like this, it will start like this. This is your esophagus. And then we have here intestine, here is your rectum, urinary bladder, this is your cloacal aperture. So, this is the diagram, and now we have to label this. We have completed this diagram, we have completed the diagram of digestive system. Now, we are going to label it. This is your esophagus, this is stomach, this is intestine, then this is your urinary bladder, and we have rectum over here, this is cloaca, and this is cloacal aperture, So, now with this we have completed the solution for question number 13. So, now let's discuss the last question of this session, last question of this chapter, that is question number 14. Mention the function of the following. We have to mention the functions of the following, and what are the terms we have to mention, what are the terms for which we have to mention the functions, that is ureters in frog, B is Malpighian tubules, C is body wall in earthworms. Alright, so if we talk about the function of ureters in frog, obviously ureters are the duct which collects urine, right? So if we talk about male frog, then this ureters acts as urogenital duct which carries sperms as well as urine in the male frogs, right? This is the function. If we talk about the Malpighian tubules, we know that Malpighian tubule is an excretory organ in frogs. Obviously, it is going to remove the metabolic waste from the body to the outside, right? So, this is the function of Malpighian tubule, which is actually an excretory organ present in the cockroaches. Moving on to the last part of this question, that is the function of body wall in earthworm. So, body wall on earthworm is consisting of muscle layers. First of all, the body wall in earthworm is made up of muscle layers. It helps in the movement and locomotion, right? This is the function of body wall in earthworms. Let's write the answer of these questions. Answer number A. If you talk about the function of ureters, then ureters are the urogenital ducts in male frogs. Otherwise, they carries urines. If you talk about the male frogs, they act as a ureter, act as a urogenital duct which carries which carries urine and sperms. So this is the function of ureters in frog. Then if we talk about the next, that is Malpighian tubule. Malpighian tubule. So what is Malpighian tubule? This is an excretory organ. This is an excretory organ in cockroaches. Which helps in removing the metabolic wastes. Metabolic wastes. Right? The C, we have to give the function of body wall in earthworm. So body wall in earthworm is consisting of muscle layers first of all. And if we talk about the function of body wall present in earthworm, it helps in the locomotion and movement. It helps in the movement and locomotion. Alright, so we have completed all the functions given in this question, and along with this we have completed the last question of this session, and this is all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.